Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 94th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Alonso, joined by Nicholas O'Brien. How are we doing, Nicholas O'Brien?
I'm doing very good. I'm doing very good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty fine.
Very good.
Um, Definitely got a lot to talk about. Gonna be definitely a
Absolutely.
bulky episode.
Yeah, just a
So,
bit. Just a bit.
yeah,
But
first full baseball season feels back now.
oh yeah.
I feel like we needed that full week of games to actually
Mhm.
be all right, now we're in the travel days. Now we're actually in the swing of it.
Yeah, no,
Which
definitely. So excited.
Yeah, might
So
as well just
excited.
get right into it, right into Queens.
Absolutely. Let's go.
It's out of here! And the Mets win it!
This is Mets Willets Point. Transfer is available to the 7 local train.
Transfer is available to the Q48 bus to LaGuardia.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Queens, where your New York Mets finished an excellent week. First full week of the 2025 season, and an excellent home opening series, might I add. Before we get into things, I think we gotta mention the big news from last night, which is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is staying with the Toronto Blue Jays for 14 years, $500 million. Before we get into what this might mean for the Mets, Justin, initial thoughts.
It literally feels like I'm bringing up a football analogy. Feels like the CeeDee Lamb deal with the Cowboys,
Hmm.
where Vlad says, "I want 500 million." Blue Jays are like, "Nuh-uh, Vlad, I want 500 million. Nuh-uh, I want 500 million. Nuh-uh, I want 500 million." Fine.
Fine,
Like he literally just
whatever.
said, "This is my number. I'm not changing. Like, you guys want to sign me? Sure. This is my number."
For sure. I think, yeah, the Blue Jays were just kind of in between a rock and a hard place. They had to get this deal done after whiffing on how
They
many
also
big
had
time
I
free
wouldn't even say
agents.
whiff. Because they offered so much money to everyone else, just no one
Yeah.
wanted to go there.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't even necessarily say whiff,
I
but
guess.
they just had so much money to spend, and I feel like they almost needed to sign a guy to that much money because they needed to show, hey, look how much money we had to spend. It's not just offers; we'll actually spend it.
Yeah. I think for me, and it's funny saying this because obviously the Mets have the Soto contract, but just 500 million, 14 years for a first baseman,
Better
a
than
little much.
765 for a DH.
Yeah, I know, but it's like at least Soto plays the outfield. You know what I mean? Like even if he's a below average defender, like I don't know, just like a first baseman for 14 years, like whatever. The 500 million is because of how long the contract is, but it's kind of just like, really? I think what it goes out to like 35 million per
About
year.
that,
About
just
that,
call it 35.
yeah, call it 35. It's I don't know. It seems like a lot of money, uh, for a guy who's also been pretty inconsistent. But I do think Guerrero is pretty smart for taking the contract.
Like you could say he's inconsistent, whatever, but he's also just so young, so talented,
Hmm.
and he sure he's inconsistent, but I feel like he progressively gets better. I feel like he's gonna hit that point where
Probably,
in his peak he's gonna be the best, or in like a 3-year span he's gonna be the best first baseman in baseball.
yeah, that's fair.
So
That's
I
fair.
think I don't know. I also just don't care financially until there's a salary cap.
Mm,
It's just a thing of
absolutely,
okay, you got him. That's all that
yeah,
matters to me. You lock down your franchise star.
yeah.
You
No,
overpay
that's
for
fair.
the franchise stars.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It makes a ton of sense. But really, the reason I bring it up is obviously because if you're on any form of social media over the off season, there's a lot of talk between not even a lot of talk. There's a lot of rumors between Vlad Guerrero and the Mets and him maybe getting next year, yada yada yada. I never saw it happening, especially after the Soto contract, and now it's officially not happening. So everyone can calm down. But this does affect the Mets in the Pete Alonso realm of things. Not necessarily in a contract form, because I really don't think they have anything to do with each other. But that's a huge bat off the market next year for free agency. If you look at the free agent first baseman now, it was Vlad and Pete, and then it was a pretty decent drop off. So now Pete is arguably the best first baseman there. And then you got guys like Josh Naylor, Ty France, Paul Goldschmidt, Carlos Santana, Wilmer Flores, Max Muncy as a club option. It was Vlad and Pete, and then Unk still got it type of players. And now it's just Pete. So I think if Pete continues the year he's having right now, obviously a small sample, so we'll see how it goes in a few months. No doubt in my mind he opts out. And I don't know, do you think this helps or hurts the
Helps.
chances of you think it
Oh,
helps?
I
Of
was gonna say Pete Alonso.
No, I was gonna say of the Mets retaining Pete Alonso, like quote unquote long term.
That's such a loaded question
That's
because
why I asked it.
he opts out, in my opinion. If he
Yeah.
has a standard Pete Alonso year, 35, 36 home runs, he will opt out. He will get a bag in free agency.
Mhm.
Will that be with the Mets? I don't know. It depends.
Yeah.
I think another thing too. It depends how the pitching staff comes out this year because you have a lot of guys for multi years, right?
Yeah, Manaea's gonna be here, Holmes is gonna be here.
Sanga's gonna
I
be
th-
there.
Yeah, Senga's gonna be there, Peterson obviously, McGill. But I think
What's
it's
his
just
face is
Black.
coming back?
Oh, I forgot Montas is a player option if I'm not wrong.
What's the?
And
Oh my
depending on
god,
which time he was. Christian
the
Scott.
Scott. Yes.
Yeah, Scott.
He's coming
Then you
back.
got guys like Sprout, Tidwell. So you have guys next year that can probably
Yeah,
fill
so
up
they're
the
probably not
rotation.
going to splurge on pitching. Even then, I don't know
Yeah,
who the big pitchers are available on the
yeah, neither
market.
do I.
So
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to spend that money on bats. And if Pete Alonso has a good year, I don't see Steve Cohen letting him leave.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think it's one of those like I- I'll get into it obviously later when we really talk about Pete, but we were watching one of the games with my dad, and it's kind of like he had a pretty big home run. And I go over to my dad, like, I don't care anymore. If he's gonna suck with us. Just sign him long term. Like that's a bad mindset to have, but like that's kind of where I'm at with Pete Alonso. Like it's gotta be with the Mets.
Mm.
I can't see it any other way. I really can't. But to your point, real quick, you got a couple decent pitchers on the market. You got some Framblin man, Valdez, Gallen, Dylan Cease, Ranger Suarez, and then Unk still got it, and Charlie Morton, Aaron Savali,
Goldie.
Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, blah 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 blah. So,
Oh my god, my brain
but
went fucking shot. I thought, I like in my head heard first baseman.
no.
I knew you were talking about
Those are the
pitchers. I
pitchers.
knew you were talking about pitchers. I recognize that as pitchers. But you said Unk still got it again. So my brain went back to the first baseman. Ignore me. It's too
But
early. It's 8:30 in the morning.
all
Unk
right, but
Unk does not have it anymore.
Unk does not have it. But that is all I had for the Guerrero contract and what that means for the Mets. So let's just get right into the actual Mets stuff. And of course, it's always going to start with your Triboro MD injury report. So first and foremost, I'll get the bad news out of the way. Sean Manaea did have a setback. It was about a week's old at this point. But he did have a setback in his recovery from his oblique strain. He will be shut down for 2 weeks. By the time you listen to this, he'll be shut down for just another week. So, I mean, pretty bad news. That sucks, but obliques are tricky, and him getting this injury, I think it was like in February or before even spring training games started, uh, was definitely not a good sign. But so far, so good from the starters. So we'll see how long that lasts. That we're not really in kind of like the oh my god, when's Manaea gonna be back type of mood. It's kind of like I think right now the mindset is like okay, we're kind of treading water. I think we can kind of move through without it. So it sucks, but obliques are always tricky for everybody, but sometimes especially pitchers because just how much torque they're putting on their body and all that stuff. So Manaea is going to be probably more of at this point, mid-May to June return, if would have to put a guess on it because it'll be shut down for another week. It'll be second week of April, and then he has to start throwing, and then he needs a spring training ramp up. So it's going to be a while for Manaea. After that, we got some positive updates. Jeff McNeil, Francisco Alvarez, they were both set to take batting practice, I believe, on Saturday, but because of weather, they didn't. But at the very least, the fact that they were set to take batting practice is good news in itself. Jeff McNeil probably need him a little more than Francisco Alvarez as of right now, but we'll get into that. A good progression for those two guys. McNeil obviously coming back from it was a low grade oblique, and then Alvarez with the hamate fracture, which he got surgery on. Frankie Montas has started throwing up to 75 feet. It's still early in his progression from his lat strain, but he is at least starting to throw, which is good news. And then last but not least, Daniel Nunez is looking pretty good in AAA. The Mets are not really looking at a more so result standpoint, but just a recovery standpoint. I believe he's pitched back to back now, and he just had his most recent outing, I believe, with multiple innings. So far he's thrown 3 innings, struck out 4, 1 walk, 1 run. So he's looking good, but the Mets are kind of playing it slow with him, coming back from what I believe was the flexor strain from last year. So that was your injury report. Some good, some bad, but overall positive news. Let's get into the games. Let's get into the games that happened. The Mets finished up a 5-1 week, taking both series from the Marlins and the Blue Jays, just losing 1 game in Miami against Sandy Alcantara, because of course they did. But some quick notes before we kind of dive more into other parts. We had David Peterson and Kodai Senga's debuts. Peterson looked good. No, not many notes there. Slider looked crisp. He was pounding strikes. Didn't walk too many batters, and he went 6 innings. So good on Peterson. I think Kodai Senga was the big one, right? Coming into this series, at least, kind of seeing where Senga's at. How is he gonna look? What is he gonna throw and things like that? It was a pretty rough start because he let up a 2-run homer within the first 2 batters. But after that, he settled in pretty nicely. The velocity was definitely not where you kind of want it. He was sitting more 94, 95. Yeah, he averaged 94 and a half. Back in 2023, he was averaging 95.7. So velocity is definitely down. But the good part is it kind of seemed to improve as the game went on. His last pitch of the night was a 97 mile an hour fastball. So take that for what you will. I think it's pretty good. Uh, that's pretty good showing from Senga regardless. But the results were a little middling. He did go 5 innings, but he did allow 4 runs. I believe only 2 of them were earned because of 2 Francisco Lindor errors, which you just don't see. It was I don't know if you did you catch that game at all, Justin?
No.
Did you see those? Yeah, they were just so like characteristically of Lindor. It like they weren't tough plays. They also weren't easy plays, but it's just like 99 times out of 100, Francisco Lindor makes those plays, and he had
98.
2 errors that game. 98, whatever.
That's always the weird
But
when a guy that you know is a insane caliber defender been that for
yeah,
so long, and then it's just like, huh? Because like you can't put stock into it until it
yeah,
happens more, if it happens
yeah,
more. So I think that's
yeah. And
just like one of those things where it's like Francisco Lindor may end the year with 2 errors,
yeah,
and they
exactly.
both
It'll
may
be
have just
those 2.
happened come in that game.
Yeah, it happens. But yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. But back to Senga, he had a ton of whiffs, so that at least looks really good from that perspective. And but besides that, he looked good. I'm cautiously kind of watching him as he goes, kind of seeing how his body reacts, what he's throwing, what the velocity's at. But so far, so good from Kodai Senga. So I'll take that for what it is. Clay Holmes made his second start in Miami. It was definitely a Clay Holmes start, I'll tell you that much. He did not finish 5 innings once again, but his defense, boy, oh boy, did his defense let him down. This entire, I don't want to say the entire series, but games 1 and 3 of the Miami series were a tough watch defensively from the Mets. But we'll get in
I
a
feel like
minute.
that's gonna be
So
a storyline throughout the season with the Mets.
for sure.
Because outside of
Uh,
two guys and then 3 guys when Alvarez comes back, like I do not trust that Mets defense.
do not trusting, I think, is a little
And that
much.
it's shaky. Outside of Lindor,
Yeah,
Siri, and Alvarez, like granted those are the 3
yeah,
most important positions, but
yeah. I
it's a
think
little
they
like
have good defenders where it really matters. Nemo's at least average. Vientos, we know. Beatty and Acuna have been actually above average defensively, surprisingly. Jeff McNeil, he's shown to be Gold Glove caliber, but at this rate, he's probably more of an average defender. And then first base is first base, but Pete Alonso's look good there,
Juan Soto's actually
regardless.
graded out as a very good defender this year.
Is he, or are you being sarcastic?
I think it's like 83rd percentile. It's above average, something like that.
Let's look at that real quick.
Yeah, it's funny because the hitting numbers are down in Baseball Savant,
Yeah,
but the defense is up. So everyone's saying that Juan
yeah.
Soto turned into a defensive specialist.
He has 1 out above average thus
Gotta
far.
love early season numbers.
Yeah, exactly. But back to Clay Holmes. He went 4 2/3, allowed 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Not a bad start by any means. Just the fact the length is not there. But again, the defense absolutely screwed him in a pretty rough, I believe it was 3rd inning. Tyrone Taylor completely misplayed a fly ball in center field, allowing a runner to reach base. And then Mark Vientos just was a fucking circus to really. It sucks to say, but this entire game, this was a really bad defensive game from Vientos. And this kind of shed a little more light on the fact that Mark Vientos is not a good fielder. That's just what it is. I went into the year kind of being like he was fine, like he looked fine. I think the advanced numbers were a little harsh on him, but yeah, maybe not. Maybe they weren't. Which one should I talk about first? Should I talk about the botch double play, or should I talk about the throw home?
I say the throw home
I
because
think that one was worse, right?
I also have an opinion on that I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about.
Okay.
Because I don't mind the throw home.
Okay.
Like I feel like everyone's
So
talking about. Because how many outs were there again?
go
One
ahead.
or none or one?
There was 1 out. There was 1 out
One
at
out.
that
Okay,
point.
so he had the option to go for the double play, throw the runner at home. He goes throw the runner at home, just completely airmails Torrens, and I don't hate it. Obviously, like you'd
Mhm.
rather go for the double play, but same time, like it's fine if because who was running? Do you know? At first,
Not off the top of my head. I can
whatever.
as
But
you
the
keep talking,
Marlins
I
are.
can check.
I feel like the Marlins got a lot of fast guys, so the other
Mhm.
thing, like okay, can't guarantee you'll make the double play. At least get the lead runner at home. So I
Yeah.
don't hate the decision to go home. Obviously, like goal plays the better play, but
Mhm.
I don't hate that. It's just that you got to make a throw, dude. You're throwing what 50 feet, 60 feet at like from
Yeah.
where he was. Like you got to make that play. You can't.
I think
That is a
go ahead.
play that a major league third baseman makes.
Yeah, the idea of the play is sound. I
Yeah,
don't absolutely hate it, but yeah, I think we've seen him struggle pretty mightily coming in from third base. There's a couple plays in the playoffs last year where it's kind of like a little dribbler up the line kind of thing. Fantas charged and he either whiffed on it or just couldn't really get a
I can think of a
good
couple
hand
against the
on it.
Dodgers.
Right. So that's definitely been his issue, but yeah, overall, it's just been it was a pretty rough series just for Mark Vientos as a whole. But we're gonna talk about him more in depth later, so I don't want to touch on him too much. But what I did like about this Clay Holmes start, And this also does have to do with the fact that this Marlins lineup was a little more balanced from a left-right standpoint than the Astros. His pitch mix changed. Remember, if you remember last week when we talked, his pitch mix was basically 50% sinker and then everything else. But this time out, 25% sinker, 24% changeup, 21% cutter, 14% sweeper, 12% slider, 5% fastball. So much better pitch mix in uh, my opinion. More of a starters kind of like throwing what's it called? Throwing the kitchen sink at you. Much better because between lefties and righties. Obviously, the changeups and the cutters a lot more towards lefties, and then the sinker was solid. I think the velocity is not gonna be really ever where it was as a reliever. Excuse me, I'm fumbling over my words. But if he can sit like 94, 95, which he kind of has, I think he'll be solid. But I do wonder if he might need to make a change and not throw so many sinkers because it no longer grades out as an elite pitch. And through 2 starts, the 2 biggest things I've noticed with Clay Holmes is he's not generating whiffs. Uh, as of right now, he's in the 13th percentile, the 17 whiff percentage. And the other thing is his sinker is getting absolutely shelled. It has a 529 expected weighted on base uh, on his sinker, a 641 expected slug. His only saving grace is that the average launch angle is 2. So he's still getting it low to the ground, and he's still kind of getting his ground balls when he needs it, but his sinker's getting absolutely crushed by hitters. And you know what? I wonder if it's more left or right. No, lefties hit it pretty good. Righties hit it pretty good. So yeah, it's not a handedness thing. It's just getting crushed all around. And yeah, it currently sits at 94 miles an hour. So I do wonder if later down the line we might need to see Clay Holmes kind of move away from his sinker if it continues to get hit as
There,
hard as it has
there were
been.
points where he was throwing at 97, 98 and it was getting hit.
Yeah.
You're throwing at 94, that's
Yeah, but it's a process, and so far I don't think he hit the ground running, but I also don't think he started bad. I mean, through 2 starts, he has a 2.89 ERA through 9 innings. So it's going to be a process, and I'm still very excited to kind of see it progress from there.
yeah. And it's not even like you could say like a cold weather thing. Both of his starts were in domes.
Yeah. I believe Miami opened the dome for
Okay.
his start, but
Still
regardless, it's
Miami.
Miami. It was a
Yeah.
nice day. Yeah, that's the only reason they opened it. But really quick for last 2 notes on the Marlins, Pete Alonso is absolutely locked the fuck in. Monday's grand slam, Wednesday's 3-run homer. This guy,
Can I just
forget about. Hold on, forget
yeah.
about the 3-run homer on Wednesday. Last year, Pete Alonso does not hit a grand slam with the bases loaded at all. Forget about him coming through a game tying 3-run homer in the 8th inning. That just does not happen last year. Pete Alonso's absolutely locked in. So go ahead, Justin.
Just the story of what happened on the 3-run home run. So I was
Yeah.
watching the game in class because my class was putting me to sleep, and Pete Alonso comes up, and I'm like, I don't like clean shaving Pete Alonso. I think he needs to grow it back out. Like he lost all of his aura. Very next pitch, 3-run home run. I was like, okay. Oh no, it was the
Okay.
yeah, it was that one. I was like,
Yeah, no,
okay,
it's a 3-run homer.
never mind. I apologize.
I apologize. I was not familiar with
I
the
literally
game.
sent the
Babyface
text.
Alonso.
I literally sent the text. 30 seconds later, you see NVM.
Yeah, never mind.
Never
Never
mind.
mind. And then Wednesday's game was just fucking bonkers. A game the Mets absolutely never should have won. They did not deserve to win this game. The Marlins outmets the Mets, and just between Pete Alonso's game tying homer, errors and extra innings from the Marlins, the Mets somehow pulled out a win from Wednesday's game, which is just insane. But they won that series, so all good. And then moving on to the Blue Jay series, some quick notes from there. What a home opener for the Mets. I think it was it was such a good game overall. Uh, the crowd singing "My Girl" for Francisco Lindor was super cool. Pete Alonso hitting a home run first at bat back in Citi Field was super cool. Tyler McGill was dominating. Tyler McGill's been really good.
Dude, I saw that start and I was like, might
Is
like
this? Am I?
adjust glasses. Like, is that
Yeah.
Tyler
Is
McGill?
that Tyler McGill?
Cy McGill?
He's he's looked really good. Sylor's looked
Cylor.
really good. I'm cautiously optimistic. The slider's looking disgusting. The curveball was curveballing. The
Until he just
fastball's
forgets how to
fastballing,
control his pitches.
which is what happened in the fifth inning. He just completely forgot where the ball was going. But Tyler McGill has been really good the first two starts. But
Tyler McGill,
this,
hear me now. Write something down so you remember where the ball's going.
yeah. But this is usually April Tyler McGill. So I'm not getting ahead of myself. But so far, two starts, small sample, 10 innings. Is a .87 ERA, a 2.31 FIP. He looks really good, but again, he always starts well in the season in April, and then everything else kind of goes. Yeah, he has a career 2.54 ERA in March and April. In May, 5.66. June, 6.87. July 2.12.
Hot weather or cold
August
weather Merca.
5.67. Apparently, it's insane. So I kind of need to see that sustain into May for me to kind of be like, all right, we might have something in Tyler McGill finally.
I'm
Because
curious if
this,
maybe that's like a conditioning thing.
I have no idea.
Like maybe he like
I
overexerts himself too much early in the season trying to make like that good impression and then he just burns himself out way too quickly for the amount of innings he's
maybe.
pitching.
I
Who
mean,
knows?
last year
That's
he got
just
hurt. Yeah, last year he got hurt. I don't really remember the years before that, but I know that for a fact.
yeah, because
But
if it's a thing of it's every year, that means something's being done wrong. Whether that's like
yeah,
him, pitching coaches, whatever, but like
yeah.
something's not working.
hmm But after that, Griffin Canning pitched a good game against the Blue Jays. He's looked solid so far. Through two starts at 2.79 ERA, a 3.91 FIP. So we'll probably see the regression monster come for him eventually. But Griffin Canning has looked solid at the very least. He's not putting you out of games. He's keeping you in the game, which I think is all you could really ask for from Griffin Canning. Then after that, you had your first walk-off win of the season on Saturday against the Blue Jays because John Schreider is that the Blue Jays manager?
I think
If
so.
I'm remembering. Yeah, Schneider. Uh, for some reason took out Chris Bassett when Brett Beatty stepped up to the plate because big bad Brett Beatty was gonna ruin your quality start, I guess. So thank you. And then on Sunday, the Mets handled business and they swept the Blue Jays. Uh, besides Saturday, this was a pretty easy series. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the Blue Jays would. I don't want to say put up a better fight because that seems like high and mighty, but I thought the Blue Jays were a little better than what they looked like. So I'll just leave it at that. But let's go over some good and bad of the first week of Mets baseball. So the good, which I alluded to, Pete Alonso is locked in. So far, he's hitting 290 for 421 on base, a 655 slugging, 3 home runs. He looks really good. I'm getting a little too excited. His savant bubbles look really red. Um, he's hitting the ball hard. He's not swinging out of his shoes on sliders down and away as much. Yeah, Pete Alonso just looks on another level. I mean, I don't remember seeing these type of batted ball stuff since 2019, maybe. Even then, I think they're better than 2019. So Pete Alonso just looks absolutely locked in, and that can change everything for this Mets lineup. I think we talked about him a lot over the offseason on what he can do for the Mets, and for him to start off this hot is a very, very good sign. What have you seen from Pete Alonso that is kind of giving you some confidence, if any?
He doesn't look like a little bitch at the plate.
Okay,
I feel like last
solid
year, like, you
reasoning.
kind of saw him, like, cowering in his stance at points. You know what I mean? But, like,
Yeah,
this year, I feel like he looks more confident in his
yeah,
stance. A lot more
definitely,
comfortable.
100%.
I think
Yeah,
that's kind of the big thing for me, that he looked like he was a bitch last year. Like, I'm not saying that to be mean, but, like, he looked like he was cowering compared to this year.
yeah,
This year, he looks so much more confident.
yeah. I definitely get what you mean. He was kind of very just like, oh
Yeah.
no. And then again, the 2 home runs
I'm
he
thinking
hit
of
in
the
Miami.
guy in bench warmers that eats sunscreen.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking of.
but the 2 homers in Miami are just everything I needed to see. Because again, last year Pete Alonso does not hit those home runs. Forget about a hit, forget about a sac fly. Pete Alonso does not hit those home runs last year. This year he's coming through with runners in scoring position pretty consistently, which is great to see. Uh, Another good, the starting rotation has been probably better than the offense. I think probably is. I think they have been better than the offense now that I look at it. I mean, these starters, I'm shocked have started this hot. I'll be honest. I thought there was going to be a little more bumps in the road, which I'm sure will come later down the line. But so far, they are first in ERA, ninth in FIP, fifth in expected FIP, first in ground ball rate, fourth in strikeout percentage, and 10th in skill independent ERA, which again is kind of like another FIP type of thing. Kind of takes out a lot of the context, see what the pitchers can actually control. But these starters look really, really good. But Justin, so far, who has impressed you the most from
Mark
this
Fiat
Mets
now.
rotation? From this Mets rotation,
I mean, I feel like the easy answer is Tyler McGill.
see, I disagree.
Really.
I think it's Griffin Canning. Because I think with McGill, which although is a good answer, I think the fact that we've kind of seen this from McGill and we've seen the flashes from McGill, I'm not as surprised. I'm more kind of like, huh, okay. Like we know what he's capable of. Griffin Canning was the statistically worst pitcher in baseball last year, and he has kept you in 2 games so far against 2 lineups I deem pretty decent.
Mhm.
So I think for me, it's Griffin Canning. He has impressed me a lot. Um, he looks like a competent pitcher. He looks like at the very least a 5th starter, which I think is all you're asking for from Griffin Canning. So I'm very surprised and impressed with how Griffin Canning has looked thus far. But yeah, no, Tyler McGill I completely get because he's always the question mark. But I think Tyler McGill definitely is the most upside out of everyone in this rotation. But Griffin Canning has just impressed me so far.
Mm.
And then moving on to the bullpen. The bullpen has been insane. Some smart person must have said that they could be really, really good. But so far they are first in ERA, second in FIP, fifth in expected FIP, and the best part, the most important stat to me, sixth in walk percentage. Just sixth. They give up the 6th least amount of walks. It's music to my ears. Because remember last year, they were walking everybody. But this bullpen has been electric. Edwin Diaz has been spotless thus far, even getting to some Houdini shit. Ryan Stanek has been solid. AJ Minter has been getting into a few games. He's looked good. I still think he's working back some velocity. Reed Garrett is just that fucking guy. Jose Buto looks good. Max Kranick looks amazing. He's pitched in multiple innings a few times. And then Danny Young is Danny Young. He needs to be sent to the moon. And Huascar Brazaban has been a very nice surprise. He's looked different. He looks more comfortable. He's not walking everybody. His pitch shapes have changed a little. He's getting a little more horizontal break and a little more vertical movement on just about everything. Again, it's a very small sample, so we'll see how they if it continues. But everything's moving a little more arm side and everything's moving a little more up. So very interested to see if that lasts for Oscar Brosman, but he's been a revelation thus far. And a guy who kind of made the bullpen just because of an injury. He was probably on the outside looking in before Paul Blackburn went down. But this bullpen has been amazing. Hopefully they can just keep it up. And then the last good before we get into the unfortunate bad, Luis Torrens. What a start from Luis Torrens. From the backup catcher, replacing Francisco Alvarez. He's been amazing for the Mets thus far, and he's hitting the ball hard. He's not striking out a ton. Uh, he's hitting 300. He has a 330 on base percentage, 333, excuse me. He's slugging 550. He's a 151 WRC plus.
I don't even think that's the craziest part.
What's the craziest part?
I don't know if this still holds true. It did as of a couple days ago, but he had the second highest sprint speed on the Mets.
I did see that.
I don't know if that's still true or not, but I know as of a couple days ago it was Acuna than him,
I wouldn't be shocked.
which is an
Let me look at-
issue.
Yes, which is certainly not what you want to hear.
It is not a Luis Torrens stat.
No.
It is definitely not.
Let me update this and see. Yes, he currently still the second fastest player on the Mets. It's Luis Angel Acuna, Luis Torrens, Francisco Lindor.
That's an issue.
This is not a fast team. This was never a fast team. Let's make that
Really,
very
with
clear.
concrete legs Vientos?
Yeah, he brings everyone down. But no, Torrens has just been really good for the Mets. 93rd percentile and expected weighted on base average, 91st. 91 mile an hour average exit velocity. He was 87th in barrel percentage. Again, small sample size, and then a 50% hard hit rate. So you love to see it from Luis Torrens. And I know I kind of went through that pretty quick because there is some bad that we really do need to talk about. And the first guy we gotta talk about Mark Vientos. Has looked brutal thus far. I mean, absolutely brutal. I think my biggest concern, I don't know if you agree with this, his attitude is so bad. Between I don't think he's pouting, but I believe I forget, it might have been his poor defensive game, but I know for a fact it was Tuesday. I think he struck out, and you could see him kind of yelling at himself after a strikeout, and I get it. I know you're frustrated. It is like the 5th game of this season. It is a long season. He cannot be getting that upset over one strikeout. Again, I understand being frustrated, and we've seen this a lot with Jeff McNeil, kind of like throwing the bat and like his little temper tantrums. But I'm more concerned with Vientos than McNeil doing it, because McNeil's done it, and McNeil wouldn't let it carry over. I feel like Vientos is letting it carry over
I feel like
on the
McNeil's
field and behind and at the plate.
McNeil's a veteran, so he knows what works for him. The
Yeah.
sense of he's like, okay, I got to get it out, or else it's gonna carry over. Vientos may just not be at that point because he's just young, not having the experience, whatever. And that's not a knock on Vientos either. It's just something that only come with more and more experience. But yeah.
Yeah, he just looks bad, and he tore off the helmet flap. I don't know if you saw that after flying out. I think it was like the second out in the 9th on Tuesday's game, because he could have come through. and he didn't. So he's walking back to the dugout, takes just the little flap off the helmet, snaps it off, throws it at the ground. Like, it's the 5th game of the season. Like, I get it, you're frustrated, but you can't be getting this upset at yourself when you have 150 more games to play. And then between that and he didn't run out a ground ball on, I think it was Monday's game. That was addressed, so I don't want to talk about it too much. And then the defensive miscues we saw, it has not been a good start for Mark Vientos at all. I'm more concerned with kind of like the attitude, um, because I don't want a young guy to get frustrated with himself so early and for it to carry the entire season, which is what it kind of looks like so far with Mark Vientos. Offensively, he's 4 for 37. That was before the update. He's 4 for 37. 2 walks, 2 doubles, and a couple singles. He's just not making good contact at all. He has a 296 expected weight on base on contact. So even when he does make contact, it's not good. Um, his hard hit rates and stuff like that are average to below average. And I just think pitchers learned how to pitch to him. 32% of the pitches he's seen are either low and away in the box or low and away out of the box. So combined, 32% of the pitches he's seen have been in those quadrants.
I
And
know it's not his
he's not
second
laying
year.
off.
I know it's technically not his second year in the
Yeah.
bigs, but that's why there is a sophomore slump in sports. Because guys, the league adapts. What makes
Yeah.
players actually be able to be everyday players and be good is how they adapt when the league adapts to them.
Yeah. And so far, we just haven't seen that from Mark Vientos. I feel like he's been getting pitched inside a lot. He just hasn't been able to kind of get around to it. And then when he sees a breaking ball low and away, he whiffs at it. And he's just not making good contact. I mean, the batted ball data is just not good at all. It's not what you want to see from Mark Vientos. The good, at least, is he's not striking out a ton. So it's not like he's missing a lot. He's only striking out 21.6% of the time, which is down from last year. So that's good. But I don't know. I'd rather him be striking out more and kind of with better contact, but we just haven't seen that. So at the very least, he's not striking out a ton, and he's getting the ball in the air. He has a low ground ball percentage, 42.3% ground ball. Everything else is either a line drive or a fly ball, which is good from a power hitter in Mark Vientos. But in terms of power, we also just haven't seen that at all. So I will say that the last 2 games against the Blue Jays, he got a couple singles in. So hopefully that's the start of him kind of turning around. But yeah, so far Mark Vientos has been pretty brutal for the Mets. I don't know, Justin, if you had anything else to add on Mark Vientos.
I feel like he's such an X factor for this team. Like that lineup becomes so much more deep if Vientos is Mark Vientos, but he has not been Mark Vientos, and that lineup loses a lot of juice towards like the back middle to back.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's become a problem really after Brandon Nimmo, who's kind of hitting fourth usually. I mean, Mark Vientos was already moved down in the lineup because of his struggles. Jesse Winker and or Starling Marte, whoever's DHing, has been usually hitting behind Brandon Nimmo. Kind of like after that 5th spot, Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty. I don't want to lump Torrens in there, but when Hayden Sanger's in there, he's looked solid at the plate, but still. Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty, / Acuna, and then whenever Hayden Sanger's catching, and then Jose Siri, it's been a brutal bottom of the lineup. I mean, Jose Siri is Jose Siri. I think this is kind of like what people thought he was going to be. This is what I expected from him. He's hitting below 100. He's striking out. He is taking walks, which I'm very shocked by. But this is kind of what we expected from Jose Siri. But from Mark Vientos, just not what we were looking for. And the other guy, which we'll talk about now, Brett Beatty, he's looked terrible as well. So I will mention some good with Brett Beatty. He has elite bat speed, like top of the league type bat speed, which is this is really good for potential. He's 95th percentile in that, which is the top 5% of baseball. He's hitting the ball semi well. It's only 12 batted balls, so it's such a small sample you can't really take anything from it. But he has a average exit velocity of 92. Yes, he's in the 63rd percentile of hard hit rate, and his defense has actually graded above average at second base. So that's good. But the bad of Brett Brady is really, really, really bad. So quick shout out to James Shiano on Twitter because I was curious about this and he kind of did my homework for me. But in 21 plate appearances, I would like you to guess, Justin, how many of those 21 plate appearances has Brett Beatty fallen behind 0-2 in the count?
18.
All right, it's not that bad.
Okay.
11. Still, a majority.
Yeah.
A majority of his plate appearances, he has fallen behind in the count 0-2. I mean, you're literally just not going to be able to succeed in the majors if that's the case.
hmm
He has not been in a 2-0 count. He has not been in a 3-0 count. And he has not been in a 3-1 count. He is way too patient. I can't even say he's way too patient. Sometimes he just swings out of his shoes for his pitch. But you cannot succeed in the majors if you're behind 0-2 every single at bat you take. He's striking out over 30% of the time. Now with updated from yesterday's game, he's striking out 38% of the time. He has not taken a walk, and he is chasing 43.2% of the time. Like, I feel like the "fell for it again" award meme. Because like I'm out on Brett Beatty already, and it sucks to say, but it's a mental thing, I think. But he looks lost. He looks absolutely lost. He doesn't look good at the plate, and it sucks because obviously I was rooting for him pretty hard, but unless something changes, I'm out. It sucks to say because he had such a good spring training, but it's just a mental block. It has to be. I cannot think of anything else. It's got to be a mental block. So this Mets team desperately needs Jeff McNeil back. His second base as of right now is just abysmal. It's been brutal between Brett Beatty and Luis Angel Acuna, who's been arguably worse somehow. He's just not really taking good at bats at all. But I at least want Acuna in the lineup because if he topples over a ball, he might be able to beat it out. Beatty's not. So I'm so upset because I really thought maybe this would be the year of Brett Beatty being just an average major leaguer. No. He's good. I think he's still gonna get a leash because obviously McNeil's not back yet, but it doesn't look good for Brett Beatty.
I think that's how long the leash goes.
Mhm.
If he doesn't show
Yeah.
something by the time McNeil gets back, then it's
Yeah.
over.
See ya, Brett. And Acuna will probably stay on the
Does
roster.
he have options?
Yeah, yeah. This
Okay.
is his last optional year. This is his last one. That's why
Okay.
this was kind of like his last shot. So once he gets optioned, I think it's safe to say Brett Beatty will not be a New York Met next
He's
year.
a Padre.
Yeah, I've seen people call him a Minnesota Twin. I'm like, you know what? That probably makes sense.
Well, for Luis Arise, shore up the defense.
Yeah, okay. But the last guy I want to talk about, and I'm not concerned about him, but he's definitely not right. It's Juan Soto. Again, I'm not concerned, but he just doesn't look 100%, if that makes sense. I mean, he still has a good stat line. He's hitting 250, 385 on base, 438 slug. The slug's really not there. And 823 OPS, which again is not bad by any means.
It's not Juan Soto.
but it's not Juan Soto. It doesn't look right. I don't know what it is. I don't know how many Mets games you've been able to catch, but he just looks off to me. Because I was looking at this earlier. If you take out the first series of the year, if you take out the Astros series, Juan Soto is hitting 217 with a 308 on base. Take out the first 3 games, and obviously it's small sample size, so obviously it's going to be drastic, but Juan Soto just hasn't been great, really. Again, not worried by any means. And, he can have a good game tonight and his entire stat line changes because small sample sizes. But at the very least, he's not striking out. His plate discipline is still elite. He's hitting the ball decently hard. Excuse
Bless
me.
you.
But the point I wanted to make is I would not be shocked if Juan Soto has a quote-unquote down year. You've seen a lot of guys coming off the first year of a huge contract. You saw it with Francisco Lindor. Mets fans can remember the first year of Carlos Beltran. I can't, but other Mets fans can remember the first year of Carlos Beltran. And they struggled, and that can absolutely happen with Juan Soto. I would not be shocked if he has a quote unquote down year from Juan Soto. And a down year can be a 130 WRC plus, which is crazy to say, but because right now he has a 139 for the year, which would be his lowest of his career. But again, it's too early to make assumptions like that. But it is something I noticed where it just doesn't look 100% just yet. So that's the last thing I had. I don't know if you had anything else to add on Juan Soto or just the Mets in general.
No.
But look, the starters have looked really good. The bullpen has looked really good. The offense seems to be coming around a little. They kind of struggled out of the gate in its entirety, especially for runners in scoring position. But things are kind of shaping up for the Mets, and everybody's not even firing on all cylinders. So again, Mets fans should be very excited for this team. They have won a ton of games with some guys not really contributing at all. So once those guys start contributing, I think we'll be seeing a very fun team. So with that being said, Justin, take us away.
And let's go into the Bronx.
That one is drilled deep to right field. There it goes. See ya. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
This is 161st Street, Yankee Stadium. Transfer is available to the B and D trains.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Bronx, where the Yankees are coming off a interesting week, to say the
Yeah.
least. You hit Corbin Burns, get shit on by Zach Allen and Andrew Heaney. I don't know, man. Baseball. But of course, before we get into the actual game itself, injury update brought to you by the Triboro MD. Giancarlo Stanton has begun swinging a bat. God only knows his timeline. There's no concrete one yet. I can't even give a rough outline on it. Like, they know nothing about it, so that's just... Yeah. Ian Hamilton started a minor league rehab. He's expected to be back April 8th, which would be tomorrow on Tuesday. That'd be the minimum. Luis Gil is 7 to 10 days away from throwing. Jay Cousins is about a week away from getting on the mound. Clark Schmidt is expected to make 2 more rehab starts, come back around April 15th-ish, which, looking at my Yankee calendar, would be the Royals series. And at Yankee Stadium, he had a really good rehab start. I don't have the numbers, but he had like 7 strikeouts in 3 innings, something crazy like that. They signed Cooper Hummel to a minor league deal. Have you seen his numbers?
No, but
You don't want to.
I remember the name.
You
And
don't
yeah,
want to look.
I can imagine.
the best thing he has going for him, the best,
Oh, no.
is I think it was 2022. He had a 74 WRC plus against righties. That is the best thing that he has going for him.
Yay.
Minor league deal, who cares? Depth,
Yeah.
whatever.
Better
Then-
than Pablo Reyes, maybe.
Oh my god, get out of here, Pablo. But they optioned Brent Hedrick and re-signed Adam Ottavino because they signed Ottavino, DFA'd him, optioned Hedrick, brought back Ottavino. Unk still got it.
Sure.
I
Unk certainly
trust
did
them.
not have it.
I trust them if they think that Ottavino has something. So I don't.
He has
really...
something as a kind of cleanup crew type of thing, you know, like obviously watching the past few years in the Mets, he just didn't look good. I mean, that's it. The Mets kind of put him back in cleanup duty / low leverage spots, and he was fine, but don't expect much from him, I guess.
It's also weird that they optioned Hedrick. I think it's literally just like a roster construction thing.
It has to be because
Like
he's
because
been so
Hedrick
good.
in 5 1/3 scoreless innings, he struck out 9 out of 19 batters.
Yeah, he's so good.
So he was pitching awesome. His fastball definitely was playing up. It just has to be a roster construction thing.
Yeah, I mean, did anyone else have options? If you kind of look,
I know
looking at it?
Gomez doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone that you would like
Be
want to
okay.
send down.
Yeah. So that's probably what it is at the end of the day.
Annoying, but if
Yeah.
I don't want to be, don't wants to be good. So who knows? But getting into the actual game themselves, so game 1 was a 7-5 loss with Will Warren going up against Corbin Burns. Will Warren outdueled Corbin Burns. So Corbin Burns he only let up 2 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings. He let up 4 runs total, but he worked. They really worked Corbin Burns. Austin Wells had a 13-pitch walk against Corbin Burns, and that was the longest plate appearance of Burns' career.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So they were working the counts, which that's how you beat aces. That is the only way to beat aces unless they just do not have it. Is you
Wear 'em
have to
down.
get them out before the... If you want to beat an ace, you have to get them out before the 6th inning.
Yeah.
Just by working that pitch count up.
That
That's what
sounds
they
about
did.
right.
Will Warren, he went 5 innings, 2 runs. Very up and down, which I feel like is kind of the theme that you're seeing from Will Warren. Kind of just not
Mhm.
giving the consistency. Stuff is playing awesome. I don't know if it's a pitch sequencing thing, it's a pitch mix thing, but I still do believe in the stuff of Will Warren. I'll get more into that later. The Yankees had what was it? I believe it was a 5-3 lead.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
no. A 4-3 lead. No, 4-2 lead. And then
Okay.
Tim Hill came in, let up a run. Mark Leiter Jr. hung a splitter in the middle of the zone. It was a grand slam that made it a 7-4 game. He's so annoying.
Wah, wah.
He is
Yeah.
so annoying, dude. Because there's some times where he'll look awesome. And other times he'll be like, oh, let me just hang all my pitches.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how he's such a heavy ground ball guy, but when he misses up. That doesn't make sense to me.
Relievers, I guess, like the margin of error is so small that that's just what happens.
Yeah. And I think a big thing was that them not having Devin Williams really fucked them. Because Devin
Mhm.
Williams was out on paternity leave for that game. And congratulations, by the way. And they weren't putting Luke Weaver in for the 8th inning, which also at the same time, Luke Weaver has shown multiple times he will pitch 2 innings. He literally did it yesterday. That was part of the allure with him last year is Clay Holmes couldn't do shit, so he pitched multiple innings. So, I don't know. Weird decision. I'm not going to critique it too much, but I think they definitely should have put a Luke Weaver there. Then, Ben Rice. So I said 7-5. He had a solo shot in the 9th inning. I just want to mention it because it was off puke. Yeah.
Puck.
whatever. Lefty. Yeah, Ben Rice. Give him playing time against lefties. Because the next game, Ben Rice was on deck. I don't know if you saw this. Puck was pitching, or was on the mound. They sent Pablo Reyes out to the on-deck circle. Pablo Reyes walked out to the on-deck circle, then got called back.
What is he doing on this roster, dude?
I don't know. Ben Rice, he's shown that he's hit lefties better. Had a home run off the guy the next day. Why? I feel like you should leave him. I feel like you shouldn't even think twice about it. Unless you have, a guy that absolutely destroys lefties. That's a completely different story. But
yeah, I would tend to agree.
it's Pablo Reyes. I don't know. That was just weird to me. But getting into that game, too. So, it was Carlos Rodon versus Zach Gallen. A 4-3 loss. Carlos Rodon. It was raining. It was cold. He got hit in the forearm by a 115-mile-an-hour comebacker. In the 5th inning, came back to pitch the 6th inning. I'll give you that. You ended up going 6 innings, 4 runs. What the fuck was your pitch mix? I said last week, no matter what happens, if Carlos Rodon goes back to having 50% fastball, I would flame him. 48% fastball, 24 slider, 11 sinker, 9% changeup, 7 curveball. It is so annoying because his stuff is good. The fastball is not good. Everything else is good. You talk about reinventing yourself as a pitcher. We all know. You know, if you throw your fastball less, you will be a very good major league pitcher. That's just the end of the day. That is the truth. But I don't know what it is. Like, the only argument that I can see is that, like, oh, it's a rainy day, whatever. He wanted to try and get more control with the fastball. He wasn't even locating it. So it's not even like you could say he was trying to get more control because that wasn't fucking working.
Yeah, that would be the only pushback I have.
But he wasn't locating it either.
I was just gonna say, like, was he missing bad of his breaking stuff?
He was missing bad with everything.
Yeah, so at that rate, if you're kind of just missing bad of everything, it's kind of
Though the stuff that has better stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, that irks me
Frustrating.
so damn much.
Yeah.
We'll wait to see what happens his next start.
Yeah.
But they also did
2 starts.
What'd you say?
I said it's been 2 starts, so
yeah. And I believe that we're getting 2 Carlos Rodon starts before our next episode.
Okay.
So we'll see that more. We'll get into it in the series preview, but you got to fix that. They moved up the games in Detroit. I don't know if you saw that. They were supposed to all be like 7 o'clock games. 3:05 today, then 1:05 for the other 2 games because of the weather, all that type of stuff. So hopefully it'll be warmer because it's supposed to be really cold in Detroit, which I'm very scared about that series, but we'll get into that. The lineup was feeble against Zach Gallen. They couldn't get anything going. 6 2/3 innings pitched for him, 13 strikeouts, 3 hits. He had 24 whiffs.
Oof.
57 whiff percentage against Zach Gallen. He was just disgusting. They couldn't do anything. Anthony Volpe ended up having a 3-run home run in the 9th inning to make it a 4-3 game.
Short porridge.
So it was, I was just gonna say, granted, it was a 4-3 loss, but it was not that close. It did not feel that close.
The home run made it close when it was with 2 outs.
Zach Gallen absolutely shut them down.
Yeah.
Getting into game 3, Carrasco versus Merrill Kelly. So of course they win this game. 9-7 win. Before the game, I don't know if you saw this, but Giancarlo Stanton went to the locker room and said, "We don't get swept at home."
I did catch
I
that.
love that. And Ben Rice led off this game. He also led off the first game in Pittsburgh. And just interesting tidbit, but Carlos Carrasco, good job. He did awesome. He did more than you could expect, or more than you want.
Yeah.
I said on the radio show, if Carlos Carrasco is in the 6th inning, it's because he has a no-hitter. He pitched into the 6th inning. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Part of the reason he was allowed to pitch into the 6th inning is because the Yankees scored 9 runs off of Merrill Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, that helps. That definitely helps. But
3 2/3
Carrasco looked
innings, 9
solid.
earned runs. He looked
Yeah.
okay. And that's
I-
all you want from Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah, I think he looked with what you can hopefully expect.
Yeah. But
We'll see.
and even like Merrill Kelly is a good pitcher.
Yeah,
He's a
absolutely.
good pitcher. Like I think that not to that level. Don't people are gonna overreact when I say this,
I'm
but
overreacting.
not to the level. But the Diamondbacks rotation reminds me of the Braves three-headed monster in the sense of you have two dominant aces and then a pretty good pitcher, the third one. In
Three-headed
that
monster.
sense of a very good third starter that gets overlooked because of that.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm
Yeah.
not saying Merrill Kelly's an ace. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But kind of that
for
idea.
sure.
And then in the 7th inning, it was 9-3. Yarbrough gave up a grand slam. I think he pitches solid. I think he's okay.
Mhm.
My biggest issue with this man is that he walks guys. He lets up walks to start innings. You are coming in a mop-up role. I don't give a shit if they hit solo home runs. I don't walk guys when you're coming out of the pen in a mop-up role with a 6-run lead in the 7th inning.
'Cause
That's
I'm
it.
currently looking at it. It's a 7.36 walk per 9.
You can't do that, dude. It's annoying. Like it's so that's you just gotta stop it. And even the home run he gave up was Geraldo Perdomo's first home run as a right-handed hitter.
Sure, Porch.
Just dude, what are we? Anyways, they ended up winning
Should have
that
thrown
game,
that
so I'm
pitch
not
another
gonna.
ballpark.
What'd you say?
Should have thrown that pitch another ballpark.
Seriously, I'm not gonna harp too much on that. But getting into okay series, could have done better. Should have won game 1. You just should have. They blew it though. Game 3, you did really well. Game 2, Zach Allen just had his stuff. Like when
Yeah.
Ace just has
He's
his
got
stuff,
shut down.
like you got shut. Like
Yeah.
you can't do much against that. But
Tip of the cap. Move on.
yeah. Then getting into the Pittsburgh series, game 1 was Fried versus Keller, Max Keller, right? Unless it was Mitch. Oh my god, 9-4 win, and they just worked his pitch count, and that's what won them that game. He had about 90-ish pitches through 3 1/3 innings, with 7 earned runs. That's all it was. They just worked his pitch
Rough.
count, and they won it. Fried looks shaky, but I'm curious to see that if the lineup cools down, how he'd look then.
Mhm.
Because I feel like he just gets so much time in between both starts. Because remember,
I see what you
last
mean.
start was when they scored 20 runs, and I feel like he's just sitting in the dugout for 30 minutes in between starts.
Right.
So I'm not making excuses, whatever. But I feel like he just doesn't have time. Really,
You can't get into a rhythm.
Can't really get into a rhythm. So I really want to see how it would be when it's a more normal start, and they're
Yeah.
not making the other guy throw 90 pitches through less than 4 innings.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair. That's a fair ask because
And-
it happens. Some guys just need to get consistently, up, down, up, down, up, down. And sometimes it kind of just throws them off or they just get cold. I mean, it's April. East Coast kind of is still cold.
it's
at
cold
times,
as shit in
so,
the Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah, so
And even then,
definitely.
he had a pretty good line. 5 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. I think the reason it wasn't a worse line was because it was the Pirates' offense. And so I'd love to see how he kind of looks when he doesn't have to just sit in the dugout.
Yeah.
So then going on to game 2, don't really have too many notes on this one, but so it was Marcus Stroman versus Bailey Falter.
Yes.
Yes.
You got
10-4
it. There you
win.
go.
Austin Wells had another 10-11 pitch at bat to get an RBI single. Then the only other note was Marcus Stroman, 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. He's so fucking annoying, dude. Kid Carl Schmidt just... I need Louis Seal back so badly. But... yeah, what I love so much that I've seen from Austin Wells, and part of the reason why I'm kind of confused they went away from him at leadoff, is he just works counts, dude.
Yeah.
He just works counts. That's why I'm fine with Ben Rice being the leadoff hitter, but I just don't like Paul Goldschmidt there. Goldie's had a good year. he has had a very good year so far. Don't get me wrong. Small sample size. He's played familiar opponents in the Brewers, Diamondbacks, and the Pirates. All guys that he
Right.
has a lot of experience against. So that could be part of it. Who knows? But I would definitely like to see him not be a leadoff as much. Because it is a little.
Yeah.
He's not a leadoff hitter.
No, like I get what they're doing, but it's the fact of, is Paul Goldschmidt going to score on a double from first base? I don't think so.
Maybe, depending on where it's hit.
Yeah. Like a run-of-the-mill double. I
Because
say
Ben
no.
Rice grades at above average sprint speed. I'm pretty sure Austin
Ben-
Wells is about average to above average.
Yeah. Rice definitely has a much better shot.
Because my thing too
I
is
don't know. It's weird. It's
I
weird.
like Paul Goldschmidt cleanup. I really like that. As of right now, where we stand, I think that is a very good roster construction decision. Because I think you have Ben Rice, Austin Wells, leadoff, whatever. I'd prefer Wells, but if they do Rice, I don't hate it. Then you have Judge, Bellinger, then fucking Goldie, Jazz. I think that is awesome. I think that's the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
Personally, because I also love having Judge too. Because one gets him more at bats, and also there was a thing that came up the other day that like a while ago that like the 3-hole hitter has the most amount of plate appearances in Major League Baseball with no one on and 2 outs.
Yeah.
So it's like I want Judge to have more guys on. But I digress. Getting into Game 3 was a loss, 11-inning loss. Will Warren versus Andrew Heaney. Warren was mid, but he was good. Because he retired the first 8 batters. Looked nasty. But then he gave up 4 runs through 4 innings. So it's like, a lot of good stuff you're seeing. Just need to build that consistency. I feel like that's
Yeah.
the story of Will Warren.
So far, definitely.
Andrew Heaney just shit on the Yankees. I don't even want to talk about that. Dude. He had like a million strikeouts through 7 innings, but down 4-1 in the 9th inning. A late rally by the bottom of the lineup, which I am going to get into the bottom of this lineup. Trent goddamn Grisham with a RBI single to tie it in the 9th inning, down to their last strike. I love this man. How much was I saying last year? I said before the season started last year, is Trent Grisham better than Alex Verdugo?
And we figured it out pretty early.
And I brought up stats to say that Trent Grisham is better before we saw Alex Verdugo have a god-awful year. Before Alex Verdugo was doing that.
Yep.
Do you know that Trent Grisham has a higher WAR this season than Alex Verdugo did last year?
Of course.
In 5 fucking games?
I think it's just malpractice, the fact that Alex Verdugo was able to start so many games. Excuse me, sorry.
Bless you.
Was able to start so many games for the Yankees over Trent Grisham. I think we talked about it for so long, and every time he got in the lineup last year, I feel like he did something, or like he wasn't hard. At the very least, he was just another Alex Verdugo.
With better defense, and on top of that, not just him being better defensively, but you do that, then you have Aaron Judge at right field.
Right.
So it just overall helps your or if they want to put him in left, whatever, because of Soto being in right, whatever. But that just helps your team so much defensively.
Yeah.
There was a thing that, yeah, I'll talk about it now, that he opened up his stance more in June, and ever since then, let me get the numbers, he has a .522 slugging and 11 home runs in 62 games. So ever since he opened up his stance more, he's just been a lot better. He's obviously still like a great defender. But it's so tough because who do you kick out of this lineup?
Yeah. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, definitely. But who do you take out?
Can you
Because
teach Trent Grisham to play third base?
give Ben Rice negative 25 outs above average at third base. I don't care. Have him be statistically the worst third baseman of all time. If he hit ball go far.
Yeah.
I am kidding. Please, God, don't.
You could pull a Freddie Freeman. Freeman went over to third for a hot minute.
Paul
Ben Rice can do
Goldschmidt.
it.
Step on down. Look at Ben Rice, dude. It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
It's just another corner. He could do it.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah,
Nothing's ever gone wrong to a left-handed third baseman.
Yeah. For sure he throws righty though.
Oh, he does. Damn it.
I could be. Let me look that up right now, but yeah, because he's a catcher.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, so he throws righty. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I
Joke
even gonna
gone.
say? Yeah, just to wrap up that game, it ended up going 11 innings, and Tommy Pham ended up hitting a walk-off single off Devin Williams. I would have rather
still
them
got
not
it.
come back in this game, just because since Will Warren didn't go that deep, you had 4 relievers that had to come in there, and 3 of them threw 2 innings. And Hedrick, I believe Gomez, and then Luke Weaver. So obviously Hedrick went down, but you obviously had to use Devin Williams. Luke Weaver's probably not going to pitch tomorrow, or he's definitely not going to pitch tomorrow. So it kind of sucks that they did come back.
You kind of overused your bullpen, still lost the game. It's kind of
Yeah.
What was the point?
Yeah. So that's all I had on the Pirates series. Good series. Obviously, you wish they swept them, but you like to see the fight. You like to see stuff like that. There were a lot of things that I definitely did like out of it. But getting into the overall notes, before I say anything, can we please, for the love of God, not call Anthony Volpe Volpedo?
Oh my God!
Can we
Holy
not call
shit.
Anthony Volpe that?
I do not understand how this is.
He
running
likes
away.
the nickname.
That's
He had an
horrible.
interview with Meredith Marakovitz. He's like, yeah, I like the nickname.
That's horrible.
I just think he's so innocent he doesn't get it.
It's bad. It's so bad.
Call him the Italian torpedo. Not Volpedo.
The Italian torpedo. I love that.
I saw that somewhere
yeah.
on Twitter. I'm not even going to take credit for it, but don't call him
That's really
Volpedo.
bad.
Just, for those that don't understand why we're mad, just think about it. I'm not
Just
going to
think
say
about
what. Just think about it. The second half of that word. Just think about it. Can we please just not? I seen shirts about it by John Boy Media.
Oh my God! I think that's the worst part of it.
Dude, like, that's so bad. And
Poor
there's going to be kids that are wearing
in
them.
Lithuania.
There's going to be kids that are wearing them.
Slaving away. Horrible.
Oh my God, dude. But speaking of Anthony Volpe, he has a 206 WRC plus on the season. He's looked awesome. I really like the opposite field approach he has. Because even say what you want about the short porch at Pittsburgh, he had a double off the wall.
Mhm.
So it's a thing of, and to me, I think he's going to get a lot of triples because of it. With his speed, I think Anthony Volpe, I wouldn't be shocked if he has a lot of triples if he keeps going the other way.
Yeah.
Especially he's playing in Detroit this week. Very cavernous outfield. It's going to be very interesting to see there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Jason Dominguez has impressed me a lot. He was kind of the main guy against Corbin Burns that hit him. He has a 140 WRC plus on the season and 1 home run. I feel like he's kind of being swept under the rug. I feel like people aren't talking about him enough. Because everyone's talking about like, oh, Ben Rice, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, Jazz.
He's kind
whatever.
of become the forgotten man very quickly.
He's been awesome. And another thing no one's talking about, he has looked good defensively. By good, I mean, you don't look at him and say that's an issue.
Right.
That's all you need from him. To be like, yeah, he's solid. Nothing special, but he's solid. That's all you need from Jason Dominguez. He has done that so far.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Definitely.
what do I want to go with? Jazz or Rice? Your choice.
Let's talk about Jazz.
Jazz? Since becoming a Yankee, he has been one of the best players in Major League Baseball. He has 15 home runs in 55 games. If you extrapolate that over to 150 game season, that's 42. With elite defense, he has been one of the best players in Major League Baseball since becoming a Yankee. I know he's like top 5 in WRC plus since then too. Top 6, something like that. I forgot to get the number. he has quietly been awesome, and I feel like people are kind of sleeping on how good he is because like the Flash, he's not consistent. I don't give a shit if he's hitting 42 home runs if he's not consistent.
Yeah.
I don't. If he's hitting 40 home runs, he's playing elite defense. I don't give two flying fucks. But Jazz is incredible. He's perfect.
My only worry is he's striking out over 40% of the time.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a
That's
lot of
my
that was the
only
last
pushback.
2 days. He had like 2 bad games,
Yeah.
so I think
A
that's
little
a lot of it.
inflated.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, he's looked really good. He's pulling the ball, which is fantastic. Big reason why he has 4 home runs already. The batted ball data looks really good. You know. Yeah, and again, he looks excellent defensively.
And this is another
So,
reason why I want him
no
as that
notes.
5 hitter. I think he's a perfect 5 hitter. But, anyways, Benjamin Rice.
Benjamin.
Do you know how much he added to his average bat speed?
It's one of the biggest ads, if I'm not wrong. from what I've seen
3.6
going
miles an
around.
hour.
Yeah.
That
That's insane.
plus adding. And by the way, there was an article in The Athletic where he kind of talked about this. I think it was by Brennan Cuddy, where he said, like, I don't know why people think I just added 10 pounds of muscle in like 2 months.
Oh, really?
He was like, dude, it was like a 9-month thing, and I added 10 pounds, not 10 pounds of muscle. It was probably about
Right.
7 pounds, 8 pounds of muscle.
Right.
He's like, I don't know where people are getting. Ben Rice like, I don't know why people are saying this. Like, that's just not what happened. But yeah, so he did that. One of the things he noticed that his upper body wasn't as strong as he wanted it to be. So he talked with like the dietitian, the strength and conditioning coach, and they said like, yeah, like we're gonna first off make you eat more carbs, which I wish that was my issue. And he just built up. He said that he went for higher intensity workouts when it came for his upper body. It's shown. He has a 97.5 average exit velocity, 33.3% barrel percentage. And he doesn't look stiff. I feel like that's the concern when guys add muscle. They're like, oh, they lose
Yeah,
flexibility in their swing, kind of look
flexibility,
more stiff.
yeah.
He has a very fluid swing.
He's still very athletic.
Very,
Extremely
and
athletic.
I think too, he's faster than he was last year. So I don't know if the dietitian and all that just, they also worked on more power upper body, more flexibility, and like dynamic ability in lower body. Because that almost is what it feels like. They didn't mention anything about the lower body, but I'd probably bet that he kind of went that way with his strength training.
Yeah.
I am trying so hard not to get ahead of myself with him, but it is so difficult.
It's only been a week.
It
But
is so all the batted ball data is incredible.
really good. Really
And
good.
it's a thing of we saw it in spring training. We also knew about the potential with him. We'll see. If he plays on, I believe it's Tuesday. Yeah, if he plays on Tuesday's game against Tariq Skubal, I hope he does. I want him to.
I don't think so. That's
He's
such
not
a
going
tough
to.
lefty.
He's not
Yeah.
going to, but I want him to. Because what have we always said?
Yeah, you can't get better with unless you're facing lefties, all that.
But
Like,
yeah,
but
Benjamin Rice.
letting him face School is just like throwing him into a volcano.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's saying fly.
In Detroit,
Yeah. So
throw him.
I probably wouldn't. But
I don't care. I'm not saying that what you're saying I don't care about. I am just
These
a
guys
big
wanna see
believer
it.
of throw him in the fire. That's
That's
always
fair.
been my thing.
That's
I love the shirt, by the way. I didn't realize you were wearing it.
oh yeah, I'm
Oh.
repping. I'm repping today.
Your uncle or cousin got it for you?
My uncle.
Okay.
For Christmas.
The Oswald Peraza versus Oswaldo Cabrera is low-key becoming a debate now. Oswald Peraza, granted 6 at-bats, he has 3 hits, but one of them was a home run. The other one was a pretty clutch double to extend the Yankee inning before Trent Grisham ended up hitting the 2-run double, or 2-run single. Cabrera has 6 hits, 19 at-bats, and 2 walks, so he's also been really good. It's going to be interesting. Because I don't.
Definitely.
Granted, very small sample size with Peraza, but he looks more confident. He looks more fluid. I wouldn't hate him being the short side platoon, where he plays against lefties, Cabrera, because that's. I don't like the. I've been saying this for God knows how long. I don't like the fact that Oswaldo Cabrera is a switch hitter because they will not play him against lefties. What the fuck
Yeah.
is the point of being a switch hitter if you're not going to play against a lefty? If you're not going to get
Right.
better as a righty, become a lefty. Solely focus on being a lefty. I don't know. That shit pisses me off so much because if you're not going to let him develop as a righty, why are you even bothering with it?
I agree. I
And
agree.
just
I mean, how many times have you seen guys give
Buxton
up
and Mullins are the perfect examples that they
switching
were
them? Yeah.
mediocre players when they were switch hitters. They focused on one and they did it. And I think Mullins is the better comparison than Buxton because the thing with Cabrera is he's not going to hit the ball insanely hard. But his thing is when he pulls the ball in the air, he gets good results because he has enough power that when he pulls it in the air, it will leave, especially in Yankee Stadium. So I think it's kind of like Mullins where if he just pulls the ball, he could hit 20 home runs. I don't think he's not going to hit 30. He's not going to go 30-30 like Mullins did, but I could see him hitting 15, 20 home runs if he just stays as a lefty and just focuses on pulling the ball, especially with the short porch. But
Yeah. Breathe.
irritating. That's all I had on the series that have happened. Looking ahead, so you got the 3 games in Detroit. Remember, they got moved up. Carlos Rodon versus Casey Mize in the first one. Casey Mize, young guy, former top prospect. Was he the number 1 pick or number 2 pick in his draft?
Definitely first rounder. I forget.
Yeah, he was a top 5 pick, and he hasn't really panned out so far, but disgusting stuff. Really need to see.
He was a
What'd you say?
first overall.
First overall, I
Mize
thought
was
so.
first overall.
Carlos Rodon, you came up with the White Sox. This is a very familiar opponent. Very familiar. You have to at least have a good repertoire. That's all I want to see. That's all I want to see. The results, whatever, but if you stick to it and the stuff grades out well, I will be happy. But fix your shit. Then, and maybe the biggest example of hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby, Carlos Carrasco versus Tariq Skubal could not be more lopsided of a matchup.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm not even going to talk about that game. Then game 3, Max Fried versus Jack Flaherty. Definitely the best game of the series. Yankees kind of got shafted with the way that their rotation mapped out for the Tigers because Mize, high upside guy. Filthy stuff. Tariq Skubal, Jack Flaherty is a disgusting 1-2 punch.
You're facing possibly their 3 best pitchers.
Definitely their best 2. You can make an argument 3 best.
Yeah.
So
I like Mize a lot too. His stuff has gotten better from last year into this year, so he's looked a lot better. But there's a big test for him too. But regardless, yeah, Yankees definitely got the short end of the stick when it came to the pitching matchups.
I'm just hoping when Carlos Carrasco, it's a thing about he what's it called? Big dimensions in Detroit. Like I'm coping by saying that.
The saving grace is you do have 2 lefties going, and I do think the Tigers are more set to face righties than lefties. A lot of their better hitters are lefties, so at the very least,
is Justin Henry Malloy up? I know that he started the year in AAA.
They did call him up, yes.
All right, so we're gonna see St. Joseph Regional High School legend Justin Henry Malloy most likely in 2 games, but you know that's gonna be brought up on the broadcast at least twice.
It's gotta be.
Especially if Jack Flaherty's calling the game or John Flaherty's calling the games too, because he went to St. Joe's, so that'd be a little interesting tidbit. But then you got an off day Thursday, and then a 3-game set versus the Giants, who are red hot. I know they are
red hot. They have started a lot better than I thought they were.
Yeah.
Their offense is actually something.
The pitching matchup isn't that well for them either. You got Marcus Stroman versus Robbie Ray. You got Will Warren versus Jordan Hicks. Carlos Rodon versus Logan Webb.
Again, facing probably their best 3 pitchers.
I do think the Yankees. Oh my God, let me look this up. I don't look this up, but I feel like the Yankees have a mixed bag versus Logan Webb. I feel like there's some starts where he absolutely just shoved against them. Never mind, I'm stupid. 0-2 record with a 5.54 ERA.
There you go.
The reason why is because he went 6 innings and 7 innings, let up 4 runs in both. So he still got the. I think it was one of those things of he got hit early, but then settled down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely got 3 tough games. Lisa's in the Bronx. I'm scared about Robbie Ray. I'm low-key scared about Robbie Ray. He's looked so good. They talked in
a
spring
little rejuvenated.
in spring training. I forget what it was, but he added a couple miles an hour to his fastball, and
Yeah, and the kick change. He's a kick changer.
kick change. That's what it was. He added the
Yeah.
kick change, but
Yep.
very, very tough series. Next 2 ones coming up. Go 500.
Definitely.
That's what you got to ask for.
Yeah.
You got to go 500. You got to win 2 out of 3 in Detroit. You got to find a way to beat one of Skubal or Flaherty. You don't even got to beat them. Get them out. Don't let them get in the 6th inning. One of them.
Yeah.
You just got to rack that pitch count up.
You gotta do what they did with Burns. Just
That's what you
No.
have to do.
Yeah.
So, Carlos
Get that
Rodon,
pitch count
you
up.
are very important. God damn it. But yeah, I had nothing else. Unless you had anything else, or
No,
if not, take us away.
I think we have seen what the Yankees kind of will be. The kind of inconsistent offense. I think is definitely gonna be a pattern. I wouldn't be shocked if that's kind of like how it goes for a majority of the time. But look, 6-3 record right through the first week. It's just happy baseball.
Yeah.
We got lots and lots more weeks of baseball to talk about. But that being said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, remember to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a comment, leave us a like. Really helps us out. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, follow the podcast there. Leave us a rating and review. Helps us out. Lets us know that you're enjoying the show. Follow all of our social media accounts: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Posting our daily lineups, final scores there. Gotten a lot of love from TikTok recently, so we appreciate that. But with that being said, we'll see you next week with another week worth of games. See you then.